Power Rangers Zeo became the next main team to be completed at the end of 2021 or early 2022 if, like me, you wanted the Wave 11 Tonfas, and actually your Wave 10 Yellow Ranger was the last figure to be delivered anyway. The Rangers are stronger than before, and this 6-team set, or 7 if you include Trey, gave us our second Earth-centric team. As a fan of the Bandai Legacy releases, I was really curious how this was going to go when it started with the Jason SDCC 2-pack, including Gold Ranger. Naturally, the body type and scale is completely different to Bandai, so you can't interchange them, though it's not what's different, but what you gain that sets these figures apart from the incarnations that preceded them. Let's have a chat about 5 things about the Zeo Lightning Collection figures. Number 5, stronger than right before? It's weird that nearly every team that's been completed in the Lightning Collection so far has also had at least one Double Dip re-release. It's a shame that between Jason's special packaging SDCC 2-pack and Cat's 2 Pink Ranger set, the boxes for your Zeo team don't align nicely like your Mighty Morphin ones could. Some believe we'll eventually get Zeo Cat on a single pack, though I expect even if we did, the plastic window will be gone by then, and it looks like the current artwork is being phased out as well. And of course, Zeo Gold did get a main wave release, but actually benefits from being one of the more distinctive from its predecessor. This one ain't Jason, it's Trey of Triforia, signified by the different civilian head portrait. Employ some Photoshop wizardry and you get Trey of Courage, Wisdom and Heart. 3 great qualities you'll definitely need to keep rebuying the same figure from your childhood over and over. The new Gold Ranger includes a different variation of the Power Staff, giving you 3 overall, though I do remember criticism that we're still missing 1 apparently. I don't know, I'm good with this amount of staffs to be honest. He also has a different shade of gold on the shield. I'll leave it up to you on which one's better, though at least neither is butterscotch circa Bandai 2017. The Jason paint also seems much fainter and in need of some fine tuning, and my Trey shield doesn't have the weird corner nick like my Jason one does. Plus you could swap the heads around as you like, and you could even put his civilian portrait head back in Trey's single carded box. The cogs also got a few variations. Weirdly, Hasbro got away with this because as far as henchmen go, they're pretty boring to look at, so having 3 different finishes actually helps make them a bit more interesting. The 2-pack has mostly been a Hasbro Pulse exclusive, and I was initially quite annoyed with how pricey they were. They wanted £25 a figure back when the regular price was £20, and these are just your basic army builders that you're going to have to buy multiple of, so the higher price point plus the closed packaging was not something I was into. In the end, I managed to get my sets using a Black Friday code on Hasbro Pulse, so I paid £40 instead of £50, taking them back down to £20 a figure. Acceptable. Then they announced the Wave 11 cog with Rocky's Tonfas. Naturally I had to have one. I then ended up buying a second one from someone who only wanted to keep the Tonfas, which suited me fine. I only needed 1 set anyway. So I've opted to have 6 cogs, 2 of each design. They all have the same boots, gloves, belts, heads and weapons, but yeah, the arms, legs and chest are the differences. I would say the dupes are mostly for collectors only. You don't need them if you're just looking to replicate the Zeo team itself. But if you want to show the whole team's identities, if you want all their weapons in as many versions as are currently available, then you need to go all the way. You need to buy into these re-releases. Number 4, Tonfageddon. You know, this was quite the saga. When Wave 4 was initially revealed, we saw Zeo Ranger 3 Blue had his Tonfas pictured on the colour match sheet thing. Great, that matched Jason having the golden power staff and each subsequent Zeo Ranger coming with their own signature power weapon. However, something went wrong, and somewhere along the production process, the Tonfas went missing from the final release. Luckily, Hasbro realised they'd messed up, and promised to correct it, and luckier still, depending on your grasp of acceptable waiting time, 2 years later, they finally did correct it, right as the team itself was completed. They put the Tonfas, thankfully 2 of them, in with the electricity effect cog, which was, as mentioned earlier, different to the 2 cog designs we'd had already. I think we have to give Hasbro props for doing this, because this could have been something that got forgotten about, but it didn't. Sure, there were 7 waves of figures plus all the other stuff in between, the mistake and the fix, but at least the fix happened at all, and at least it happened without prompting another rebuy of the exact same figure. Worth mentioning, there were a few other weapons that didn't make an appearance, but that wasn't really a surprise as they were never even hinted at. These included the missing pod sword in holster mode, which in a novel twist was actually the only version that came with Bandai's old Legacy figures. Can you share them between teams as you could with the Legacy version Blade Blasters? Well, kinda. They are obviously bigger than the Lightning versions though, so potentially you'd stretch the holster a bit. It's kind of dumb having the fully outstretched sword in your holster when there's no way to shorten it, but at least they're more practical as weapons rather than just handles as Bandai did, even though that was actually better for display. We also didn't get the laser pistol combined with the pod sword, or the combined Zeo blaster or Zeo cannon, which would have been nice. I guess they could still do all or any of them one day. If it had to come with a figure, Auric is a pretty obvious choice, or if they wanted to go the deluxe route, how about Tommy with his Defender wheel or Zeo Jet Cycle, or any members of the Machine Empire. Number 3, going rogue. We know by now Hasbro's Lightning Collection takes not just an anthology approach to releases, but an anthology approach to details within the same series. Zeo offered another set of head scratches in mismatched details and decals between the set. I think for most people, visor trims are the most egregious. Hasbro kept alternating silver and white visor trims. It should officially be white. If they needed a reference, perhaps they could have looked at Bandai's recent Legacy versions. The boys took different approaches to whether the butterfly shoulder joint should be fully painted. Blue has the white area painted, unlike red and green. This one's kind of debatable, but you'd rather they make the decision once and stick with it, rather than changing their mind throughout. Pink Ranger even gained outlines on the bottom of her boots despite no one else having it. The crazy thing is that it would be show accurate to have it, though it may be one of those details that comes and goes between American and Japanese footage. You know what Hasbro have said about that previously. Either way, as the 5th figure released, Pink was a bit late to start getting it right, only for Yellow to go right back to getting it wrong again. This one's up to you guys. Break out either the black paint for the other 4 regular Rangers or just the white paint out for Cat. Fortunately, it's quite subtle, so you can just do what I'm currently doing and ignoring it. As is tradition with these Zeo figures, no one has copper detail to the suit emblem, and I can't decide what to do about this. Part of me really thinks it needs it to look complete, but the other part wonders if it is fine as it is. Pink and Yellow have slightly different patterns to the male Rangers, so it would be more difficult to paint, but the pattern at the neck is actually more inset than on the boys' figures and might actually be easier. It would have taken Hasbro literal seconds to check against the earlier versions of the team. This, as it is for every team in the Lightning Collection, is basically willful ignorance. So yeah, I did it with my Legacy. I'm not sure yet if I'm going to do it with my Lightning. Number 2, unleashing the likeness. Generally, I think the civilian heads in this team are quite good, and the really strong ones help bring up the batting average of the rest of them, so that when you're looking at them in a group, you get a real feel for the likeness of that team. Especially if you compare to the original Automorphins, yeah, the difference is quite stark. The old figures are fully shown up by Hasbro's first efforts. However, let's talk about them in turn, because the way they've released anthology style means we do scrutinise them quite a lot. Ranking them then from worst through best, in last place it's gotta be Rocky, the oddest looking. Over time I've kind of mellowed on it or just gotten used to it, which concerns me actually, because I genuinely used to think the flip heads were fine, it's just I'd gotten used to them. In 6th place, Tommy, the man with more than a few heads already and still plenty more to come. Tommy's famous long hair look finally gets explored with his Zeo Ranger 5 figure. I just don't know if the face is quite right this time. In 5th place, Cat. What is it about Cat that they just can't seem to nail? You also got a second version in the same 2-pack box set as Mighty Morphin Pink Ranger, which has her hair scrunchy evil cat expression going on. As with the SDCC Jason set, they reverse the heads round in the box, putting them beside the inverse figures. But this one, yeah, it's beautifully textured and detailed, but as with Mighty Morphin, as with Metallic Armor, and probably as with Ninja Ranger Pink, it's right like Catherine Sutherland. In 4th place, Jason. Another head from a 2-pack where you got 2 of the same actor both together. I think I could always see what this was meant to be based off, which was that promo pic of Austin St. John smiling in his Gold Ranger garb. This was the only set you could actually get the smiling Jason head in. And that helped me believe it. It's not the best head ever, but it's far from the worst, so it's lingering right in the middle of this chart. In 3rd place, it's Trey. The second Gold Ranger figure I think actually gave us the better civilian head for Trey of Triforia. It's quite a generic head, but I think because of the scar is instantly recognisable. In 2nd place, Adam. The first of many Adam heads, the one that started it all was a sigh of relief that Hasbro could nail civilian heads again. This is kind of what we've stuck with minor tweaks for the Metallic and Ninja figures, proving that you don't need to fix what ain't broke. And number 1, my favourite civilian head for Zeo, Tanya, obviously. The ultimate, not just in this series, but possibly in the whole line. I was so pleased that Tanya got such a great head sculpt from the promo shots, and I was pleased that it was just as great once realised in real life. This goes back against the idea of comic book or animated leaning heads, and has a really great likeness. Number 1, Zeo Across Time. This is a small set in Lightning Collection terms. Zeo isn't a season with any power-ups or battleizers, so it is a pretty simple team to complete. Double packs notwithstanding. Also, they're practically an all-stars team. You get 3 Red Rangers all on one team. Come on now. But anyway, all that's not to say that Hasbro haven't found a way to enrich the Zeo experience and kind of get us looking to buy more. They've done this in clever ways that kind of blur the boundaries between Zeo and the undoubtedly more popular Mighty Morphin. The first set that was released under the Mighty Morphin banner, but I would argue is actually from Zeo, is the Zordon and Alpha 2-pack. This is Zordon from his power chamber tube. You get the silver top and bottom. In the command center, in actual Mighty Morphin, he was just one big blue tube, kind of ceiling to floor. In Zeo, it became much more constricted, which is the version we got the toy of. I will admit, Alpha's bear accessory is from Mighty Morphin, but whatever, he could have still had that in Zeo if it didn't explode. More recently, we completed the core 5 Mighty Morphin Metallic Ranger team. With them, you got exclusive accessories with each figure, their colour-coded shard of the Zeo Crystal. A very cool idea that made these figures much more desirable and helped link the storyline to the figures in a really nice way. Hasbro used to talk about storytelling in the Lightning Collection releases, and these metallic releases with the Zeo Crystal shards really nail that. I can't really see any other Zeo tangential figures on the horizon, but having said that, I wouldn't have expected this, so who knows what's coming. Not everything Zeo related is being branded up as Zeo, which is interesting because In Space seems to be going the complete opposite way. I'll get into that though in my next Lightning Collection team video, so make sure you're subscribed if you're not already. Overall, I really like the Zeo Lightning Collection team. Yes, the inconsistency caused a lot of eye rolls, especially considering what they've done is so sloppy and easily avoidable if they only took a look back at what they recently did. But the fact that we have them all and all their signature weapons, and that so many of their head sculpts are so good, really does justice to this fantastic year of the show. Will there be more villains to come? Honestly, I'm good without. Just move on to other teams we want. They can always circle back around and cover the Machine Empire later. They're such an extensive and uncharismatic set of villains, I personally can't see them selling. As it is, I think I'm all good. I have all I want from Zeo right now. Okay, maybe do Auric the Conqueror with the combined form Zeo Blaster and any other accessories you can squeeze in there. But yeah, it's another nice to have at this point rather than being an essential element. Definitely compared to what we've had in the past, This is the best set of Power Rangers Zeo figures ever released. That's it then, my opinions on the evolution of Mighty Morphin. What do you guys think of this set? Is it one you want, or have you got already? Say it all in the comments. Check out loads of pictures of these on my Instagram at powerrangergram. Obviously subscribe if you're looking forward to the In Space Team review. That's it then for today. Thank you for watching. See you later.